Testing. Alright, let's do a quick sound test. Testing. Blazy. Blazy, blazy. Living in Washington now. Nice. Hey, Heather. Oh, we got a lot going on today. We got a whole long list of things. Let's not even waste any time, but, you know, I am Crafty Andy. This is the WeirdZoRs channel. This is the WeirdZoRs stream, where we talk about anything and everything. Life. All the horrors it comes with. Also, if you want some fun stuff, there's the Crafty Arts channel right there. Right there. There it is, right there. And time permitting, you know, eventually maybe I'll get some gaming stuff together. Yeah. Cool off my coffee. Ah, some good coffee. So, where do we begin? I got a whole long list of things here. Well, I went to a wedding recently, and naturally, of course, it was in a Catholic church. And I love this. My dad handed this to me along with this CD. He's like, hey, why don't you check this out? Maybe you can critique it a little bit. First one is Breaking Free, 12 Steps to Sexual Purity for Men. Not for women, just for men. And Defeating Satan's Deadly Weapon Against Men. From Jeff Cavan's Lighthouse Talks. Ooh, boy, that sounds interesting. I won't subject myself to that yet. Not till later. We'll see if there's anything I can abstract from that. But that'll be a fun book to go through. But let's go actual. Yep. Fake terror plots, paid informants, and tactics of the FBI. Entrapment. Entrapment questioned. Yeah, I know Christopher's gonna be gone for a while. He had to leave, what, June 1st? He won't be back until October. Maybe I'll have a bigger audience by then. You can come back and be like, hey, wow, look at how much has changed. What was I going to pull from here? There we go. Williams did not have an easy life. He moved to Newburgh, a gritty, impoverished town in the banks of the Hudson, and an hour or so north of New York. just 10 years old. For a young black American boy with a father in jail, trouble was everywhere. Williams also made bad choices. He ended up going to jail for dealing drugs. Well, the bad choice there was getting caught. When he came out in 2007, he tried to go straight. But money was tight, and his brother Lord needed cash for a liver transplant. Life is hard, new boy. If you are poor, have a drug rap, and need cash quickly. That's why you turn to drugs and selling it. It's like a cycle almost. His aunt was honest about the tough streets her nephew was dealing with. Newburgh is a hard place, she said. So it was perhaps no surprise that in May 2009, David Williams was arrested again and hit with a 25-year jail sentence. But it was not for drug offenses or any other common crime. It said Williams and 3 other struggling local men beset by drug, criminal, and mental health issues were convicted of an Islamic terrorist plot to blow up Jewish synagogues and shoot down military jets with missiles. Even more shocking was the organization. Money, weapons, and motivation for this plot did not come from real Islamic terrorists, it came from the FBI. An informant paid to pose as a terrorist mastermind, paying big bucks for help in carrying out an attack. For McWilliams, her own government had actually cajoled and paid her beloved nephew into being a terrorist, created a fake plot, and then jailed him for it. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone, she told The Guardian. So here's the thing. This actually surprised my husband a little bit. It took me back too, but it makes sense, right? A lot of these cases where these people are getting caught up and trapped in these terrorist plots are like mentally ill, they're extremely poor, they're easily taken advantage of. So the logic here, this is my speculation on the logic behind doing these operations, is that, well, these people are desperate, easily to manipulate, so if we don't manipulate them and put them in jail, someone else will manipulate them and actually do something. Let's see, central to that is a growing informant network. The FBI is not choosy about the people it uses. Some have criminal records, including attempted murder or drug dealing or fraud. They are often paid six-figure sums, which critics say creates a motivation to attract targets. Some are motivated by the promise of debts forgiven or immigration violations wiped clean. So that makes sense too, why a lot of times when people are caught in these entrapments, they try to back down, but the informant is egging them on. Like, no man, you gotta do it. No, why? No need to back off now. Get to it. What's going on here? Oh, let me bring up the chat. There it is. Have to get used to sleeping in the night by myself, yeah. Things are going on, I'm scared for him. Christopher's father's in prison for a crime his dad didn't commit. Also, the age of consent in the military is 16. Well, that's most states. So me and Christopher can still do things. You don't have to tell me about that. You're both pretty much only like a few years apart. No one's gonna care. The only time it's illegal for an 18-year-old to date a 17-year-old is when it's on Twitter. That's the only time. Oh. Yeah, so it's just another one of those cases where it's like a moral conundrum to me, but I do think it's kind of fucked. Yeah, fishing expeditions. The men involved met FBI informants simply because he happened to infiltrate their mosque. Yeah, I mean, you can do that with anything, right? You can find the right person who's vulnerable and tell them to do anything. You can manipulate them to steal a purse from an old lady. If you convince them that he's going to get paid for it. bullshit. So that's just an interesting thing. That's just an interesting aspect. But my problem is, though, is that they're not even, like... They'll target someone who is schizophrenic in this case. You know, they won't bring him to a facility or commit him. No, he's just going to go to jail, where he gets to live out his days with just his thoughts, for the most part. Oh, and interact with other criminals that are arrested too. Criminal complaint says the FBI sent an undercover agent posing as an explosive expert who could help Varnell after being tipped off the alleged plot by the confidential informant. The complaint says Varnell allegedly claimed to have experience making small bombs, but was convinced by an undercover agent that the agent should provide the supplies. Officials say Varnell was provided with a faux bomb-making materials. Varnell was monitored closely for months as the alleged bomb plot developed during a long-term domestic terror investigation. Varnell initially wanted to blow up the Federal Reserve Building in Washington, D.C. with a device similar in 1995 Oklahoma City bombing because he was upset with the government. Yeah, suffered from schizophrenic delusional episodes and has been put in numerous mental hospitals since he was 16 years old. Yeah, some informant found him, saw him as a good target. Pretty predatory, actually. See, I'm in a position where I don't think they would target me for anything like that. Doesn't make any sense why I would want to do anything like that. Let's see what else is going on here. Oh yeah, so the Don't Stay Gay bill is in full effect. Class president in Florida high school. He is not allowed to share his experience as a gay student because of the Don't Say Gay law that will affect students like him. So he had to talk about something else as a metaphor. In this case, his curly hair. Oh, we're gonna have an ad, huh? Of course. Ads. Ads everywhere.
Of my identity. This characteristic has probably become the first thing you think of when you think of me as a human being. As you know, I have curly hair. I used to hate my curls. I spent mornings and nights, embarrassed of them, trying desperately to straighten this part of who I am. The daily damage of trying to fix myself became too much to endure.
Student speakers were reminded that graduation is a community celebration and were encouraged to tailor their remarks to be reflective of their experiences and memories that all students could appreciate to the best, reflect all facets of the graduating class's achievements. Unless you're gay, apparently. If you're gay, you don't exist.
So, while having curly hair in Florida is difficult, due to the humidity, I decided to be proud of who I was and started coming to school as my authentic self. It's because of the love I've drawn from this community that I came out to my family. Now I'm happy. Now I'm happy. And that is what is at stake.
This House bill restricts and in some cases bans classroom discussion of gender and identity and sexual orientation. Riz is one of the youngest plaintiffs in a federal lawsuit challenging the state's law. Good luck, man.
I've been preparing for this speech since I was elected my freshman year. Do you think that I wanted it to be about this? It needs to be about this for the thousands of curly-haired kids who are going to be forced to speak like this for their entire lives as students.
Yeah, curly-haired. He's curly! We just have to replace the word gay with something else. I don't know if curly will do it, though. Bent? This guy's bent. He's very bent. Not sure. He's going. Oh, yeah, that's right. He's gonna get it shaved. Yeah, all those curly locks are going away when he goes to that military. But let's see here. As we know, what's the next? Just that pastor. Oh yeah, I wanted to read this. Today, 3 cops randomly stopped me at Canal Street to ask me to translate for a confused Asian woman they were charging for fare evasion. They kept refusing to let her go because she didn't have an ID. Incredibly bleak irony in seeing an increased police presence, ostensibly in response to violence towards Asian women, results in police harassing Asian women, then giving her a $100 fine for skipping a $2 ticket in Chinatown during a AP month. Not to mention, when I told the cop I thought that they should leave her alone, he turned his body cam on me and told me I was being recorded. In summary, I do not feel protected. This is a nightmare. Yes, this is in response to some of the shootings that have happened. So yeah, this is increased police presence and increased... Not that it helps, apparently, because the police don't do anything. But yeah, guys like that guy with the curly hair, though. That's not what I wanted. Oh, of course, I can't just read the article. So, I don't know if it's too late to hit that hot iron, but right now, as everyone knows, there was a shooting in an elementary school last week. 19 students, 2 teachers. And so what does some of these conservatives do? They pick on 2 trans people and say that it was them. That makes a lot of sense. In fact, let me pull them up here. Man, we can't even keep up with this shit. We know already, fool, it's a transsexual, leftist, illegal alien named Salvador Ramos. It's apparently your kind of trash. So to be clear, the person that did this shooting was a U.S. citizen. He wasn't an immigrant. He wasn't illegal. He wasn't trans, as far as we know. And if he was, that wouldn't play into his motivation. By looking at his story, the motivation that played into his life was being bullied for his lisp and his demeanor. What drives an 18-year-old to commit to murder innocent children? I don't know, but by judging by the photos of him cross-dressing, we can assume there were plenty of signs that he was mentally disturbed and abused by adults his life. Societal cowardice ignored this deals plenty of signs. He also cut his face. He cut his face in front of his friend. And all it did was just, repel people even more. Not this guy. Candace Owens. What an idiot. course, stories like this get buried so fast, I can't even fucking find it anymore. For most of their shits. Those gun-related killings are not happening in schools, they're happening in Democrat-controlled inner cities. Yeah, Chicago's not a good example, dumbass. Yeah, it's Candace Owens. They're conflating fucking trans people with mental illness, of course. Yeah, it wouldn't fucking matter. Here's a... No, that wasn't it. What was the other thing here? Oh shit. I don't have it. Oh wait, I know where it is. Let's see here. So yeah, what's responsible for the shooting, huh?
Tragedies like the events of this week are a mirror, forcing us to ask hard questions, demanding that we see where our culture is failing. Looking at broken families, absent fathers, declining church attendance, social media...
Declining church attendance. Ah, yes, we know that's connected to shootings. Sure.
Bullying, violent online content, desensitizing the act of murder in video games, chronic isolation.
Ted Cruz is a fucking moron.
Tragedies...
We're gonna talk about video games up until the end of time, right? But then again, you know, they won't do anything about guns. But they won't do anything about video games either, it seems. So, you know what? I guess everyone's safe.
McKenna, Lee, Elrod, Maitai, Rodriguez.
The fuck is this? Hunger Games? This is Donald Trump reading the victims that were killed in that latest shooting at the NRA meeting.
Cazares, Jayla, Jayla, Nicole.
And you can tell it's a recording of a bell too. God damn, what an ugly sight. Just call it funeral toll. Like, he doesn't fucking give a shit.
Cazares, Jayla, Nicole, Silguro.
If only those teachers had guns.
Lovarnos, Jose Flores.
So once we give teachers guns, how long before one of those teachers gets really fucking pissed off and just blows the brains out of a student? That's what I want to know. Because I've seen some teachers get mad too myself. Or, you know, like the food teacher that was having an affair with one of the students in my school, in my high school. What if they had like a nasty breakup? She got really pissed off and pulled out the gun, blew his brains out. Give me a fucking break. Also, the idea of having like a bunch of plainclothes people having guns, like, well, how? So if there's a shootout, how do you tell which one's the shooter and which one's the person trying to like stop the shooter? If you're just coming in on the scene, I just imagine like the police just shooting them all just to make sure when they come down. This is just random, but want to see Poe's law in effect? My fellow dog Americans, I today am announcing my run for Georgia 2022 governor election. I will give everyone free fursuits if we win. I may only be 18, but I'm 88 in dog years. And of course, someone took it literally. Cannot believe they're letting a person identify as a dog run. What is happening to our country? Poe's law is that no matter how satirical something is, there's always some moron that will take it literally. This is in it right here. But just to make sure, too, I didn't lose this, I downloaded this one. Apparently, there's a pastor that thinks that they found the solution to all these problems in America when it comes to guns. I seen a movie with a guy wearing a dress. Yeah, I know, right? There's plenty of movies where people cross-dress, too. A lot of this shit wasn't even that big of a deal. Like, yeah, there was bigotry here for a lot of this shit, but if you go back before the evangelicals started coming out in droves, and as media became more progressive and accepting as far as like their depictions, granted, you could like lose everything being trans or being outed, but there's still options available. Like, trans people have existed forever. You go back to, oh, let's see, I know what I can look up. Yeah, I think this is it. No, it wasn't this. This one.
Gallbladder out.
Yeah.
But both parties were later exonerated, obviously. So pretty funny shit.
Of course.
Get out of here.
In
Fucking
Cape
assholes.
Town, things got interesting beyond just this unfortunate portrait, of course. This is a portrait of James Barry.
James Barry, that's it. Dr. James Barry, a trans man, or trans woman, excuse me. Sometimes I get switched up which one is supposed to go where. But he was revolutionary in terms of like medicine and medical procedures in the 1800s. So it goes all the way back. I mean, I don't even have to fucking say it, really. The only people that don't believe it are morons. So there's this pastor that found out, that figured it all out. All right, here we go.
Steadfast Baptist Church, and I'm here. My name is Jonathan Joey. I'm the pastor of Steadfast Baptist Church, and I'm here today because I have church members that live in Arlington. I live only a few miles away from here, and I do business in Arlington on a weekly basis. I'm horrified and ashamed that this city has decided to promote and solicit pride in this city.
Why not?
Pride is nothing to be celebrated. In fact, it's an abomination. The Bible says in Proverbs chapter 8, the fear of the
There
Lord
we
is to
go.
hate pride, hate
let him
evil,
speak.
pride, and arrogancy. And the evil way and the froward mouth do I hate. According to God, we should hate pride, not celebrate it. We should humble ourselves, as virtually the whole room said that we were a nation under God, according to the American flag, and we were a state under God.
Nation under God didn't get added until like the fucking 50s after World War II. Try again, bitch.
According to the Texas flag, we should humble ourselves to what the Bible says, and not what the small minority here that is a bully would say.
Amen. 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 Yeah, because, you know, this is not a community event. This is church service. So there's Pastor Jonathan Shelley from Arlington, Texas.
Yeah, skip over these. I don't care what you say.
Citizens in our community. That sounds good.
But I don't understand why we'd celebrate what used to be a crime not long ago. In fact, according to the Texas Penal Code and Section 21.06, homosexual conduct, a person commits an offense if he engages in deviant sexual intercourse with another individual of the same sex. In fact, that is still on the books today, even though Lawrence versus Texas overruled that in 2003. But God has already ruled that murder, adultery, witchcraft, rape, bestiality, and homosexuality are crimes worthy of capital punishment. Leviticus 20:13, the Bible says that a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman. Both of them that committed an abomination, they shall surely be put to death, and their blood shall be upon them. Romans 1 says that men with men are worthy of death.
Isn't it weird how all these laws that he was citing as far as the state laws then suddenly crossed over into Bible laws? It's this weird crossover. It's like we're not in a democracy or anything. It's like a theocracy. And we're supposed to follow all of our rules based off of what this guy wants to pick and choose from the Bible.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's see. Oh, he's got more?
More likely to get HIV than...
Everyone should also be of folks in this community. Watch.
Bible's right that what these people do is filthy. According to CDC, homosexual men are 230 times more likely to get HIV than straight men. I don't know why we would promote disease and AIDS in our community. Additionally, according to this article of self-reported crimes, the LGBT have an average of 20 to 150 children victims, and including they commit an average of 154 acts on their victims. Now, here's the thing. They say that they love so much, but they hate children. They hate Baptists, they hate Christianity, and they hate God.
Amen.
We should eliminate Pride Month. We should eliminate the LGBT Department Liaison. We should eliminate the travel page dedicated to LGBT.
Just this story, yes.
Of course, you get some people standing up there. Yeah, fuck people's rights. Fuck freedom. Fuck freedom. You have the freedom to be how I tell you should be. You have the freedom to follow God's word. God's word speaks and you obey. That's your freedom. That's the freedom he believes in. As far as I'm concerned, you know, that guy just threatened my life. So, it's got to find out, let's see, who he is, and where's his city, and just give a call to the sheriffs down there. Encourage anyone else who's queer.
I'm Joey. I'm the pastor of Steadfast.
If you're trans, if you're gay, non-binary, you know, he pretty much just threatened your life. So you know what? You know, this guy gave you a death threat. Let's see, what's this guy's name here?
Ashamed. The Bible.
Church 8, not.
Small minority here that is a bully would say.
Amen. 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 Yeah, because, you know, this is not a community event. This is church service. So there's Pastor Jonathan Shelley.
Tennessee deputy pastor calls for execution of LGBTQ people. Oh, this is never. Oh, that's funny. That's Tennessee. Whoops, my bad. This guy, you gotta love it. So many different pastors calling for our deaths. This came across this one for a couple years ago. Tennessee. Whoops. Nope, that's not the one. My bad. Let me see if I can find the right one. There it is. Okay. Texas pastor condemns city's pride celebration. Yep. Evangelical Christian pastor. Damn, they're not going to give the name? There he is. Jonathan Shelley. Jonathan Shelley, leader of Steadfast Baptist Church. Okay. So, you know, death threats are illegal. And I'm gonna get a little busy with the local media and the law down there. So why not? The fuck is he gonna do? Kill me? Give me a fucking break. Fuck that guy. Fuck this guy too. Fuck everybody now that I think about it. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, he threatened my life just now with that speech. He threatened the lives of anyone who's queer. So that's like a what? How many gay people are in the United States? We really want to break it down. I mean, hey, you know, gay was illegal, so are death threats. So. Alright, what's the number? 9 million LGBT Americans. So he threatened the lives of 9 million people. So that's 9 million death threats. He committed a crime of threatening the lives of 9 million people. What's the years on that? Let's see. Punishment for death threats. I mean, there's the evidence right there. He's obviously guilty. So. Yeah, that's the description of law. Let's see. Punishment for death threats. Federal offense carries up to 5 years in federal prison. Sending such threats repeatedly can lead to federal criminal stalking charges and up to 10 years in prison. Alright. So, 9 million death threats? Gosh. 5 years for each one. So, you do the math on that. Fuck him up. Bring the law on his ass. Investigate this little shitbag. Just like they did with that Tennessee one that I accidentally pulled. So like, yeah, it's like if I went on the air and said we should kill all women, yeah, and said that as like something we should do. Technically, that's a death threat against every woman that's alive currently. Including trans women, so. He wants to play that fucking game, I'll play that fucking game with them. Yeah, let's look at Ted Cruz getting yelled at. That's fun. That'll make me feel better. This fucking goon squad had to hold him back.
19 children died. That's on your hands. That's on your hands. Ted Cruz, that's on your hands.
I'm curious why it's age appropriate for kids K through 5 to learn about hiding under desks and not sometimes that people have two dads. Beats fucking me. Fucking beats me. Age appropriate is only applicable for things Republicans don't like, such as books or the word gay. Yeah. You wanna know how fucked up this is? I wonder if I could find it on here. I'm just gonna do a search. Let's see. Kid sings about school shootings.
again. I wish I knew how my day was gonna end. Bye, Mommy. Bye, Daddy. I got to bless up my daddy in the morning. Hugs and kisses.
Nope, that's not it. Nope. Apparently there's like little songs that kids are learning. It's like, so like to do like a lockdown and hiding under the desk during a shooting. I'm not done with Ted Cruz yet either. This.
Budweiser Supreme, a new generation.
Fuck Budweiser. Let me switch my accounts here.
There are 19 sets of parents who are never going to get to kiss their child goodnight again.
Is this the moment to reform gun laws?
You know, it's easy to go to politics.
But
it's easy to go to politics. There's nothing political about a guy shooting up a school with a gun, apparently.
Important. It's at the heart of the issue.
I get that that's where the media likes to go.
No, it's not. It's where many of the people we've talked to here like to go.
The proposals from Democrats in the media, inevitably, when some violent psychopath murders people.
A violent psychopath who's able to get a weapon so easily.
Legally, too, by the way.
2 AR-15s.
If you want to stop violent crime, the proposals the Democrats have, none of them...
What are your proposals? The Bible? Church attendance? Social media restrictions? Oh yeah. He's got it.
But why does this only happen in your country? I really think that's what many people around the world just... they cannot fathom. Why only in America? Why is this American exceptionalism so awful?
Yeah, why?
I'm sorry you think American exceptionalism is awful.
Exceptionalism for any country is awful.
You get your political agenda.
No, it's
God,
honestly...
God love you.
Senator, it's not. I just want to understand
What's your
why
political...
you do not think that guns
Ted
are
Cruz
the
doesn't
problem.
have a political agenda, you know? He's just Ted Cruz, you know? He's there to improve everyone's lives.
It's an American problem.
Well, it is just an American problem, sir.
Mr. Cruz, why is America the only country that faces this kind of mass shooting?
But you can't answer that. You can't answer that, can you, sir? You can't answer that. Why is this country...
Why is it that people come from all over the world to America? Because it's the freest, most prosperous, safest...
It's the freest, most prosperous, safest country.
It may be the freest, it may be the most...
Why are our kids dying in school?
It's the freest country, except if you're gay. You might not be able to get married, though. You might not be able to live. You may not be able to get a house. They can legally just deny you a house, deny you an apartment.
In the United States, there are so...
Stop giving people guns. Do you know what I mean? In Donegal.
Oh yeah, here's an Irish teacher.
What we allow to happen in this country is inconceivable.
I work in a school in Donegal in Ireland, and I have worked in schools for years. And I've never once been on my way to work and thought to myself, I hope no one shoots all the kids today. Like, imagine having to send your children to school and you're thinking someone might come in and shoot them all. And the maddest thing about what's going on in America and Texas and stuff, it's happened so many times. Like, this has happened before. And they're still letting it happen. It's just so confusing for all of us people that aren't from America looking in and thinking, how fucking stupid are you people? Like, how are we going to stop all these shootings? Stop giving people guns. Do you know what I mean? It's just really awful, and it doesn't seem to happen anywhere else because other countries don't allow guns. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Yeah, Australia, when they had their mass shooting, 20 people died. Banned all their fucking assault rifles, and wow, look at that. Nothing happened since then. Nothing to that scale, at least. What's the next thing here? So, Let's see if I can get an actual speech from him here. Canada is actually doing something. You know, at this point, because we've had so many shootings, I was on the fence. I wasn't on the fence. I would say we should just do anything. I'm all for, you know, arming everybody with guns, or just outright banning guns. You know, can we try something? One or the other. If one doesn't work, we can switch to the other one, or maybe find some kind of middle ground on that. As long as we are doing something. It's pretty disgusting that when Biden comes up and does a speech and he's like, I can't do anything. I'm only the president, guys. I'm only the president. How can you expect me to do anything about guns when I'm just the president? I only have so much power. But Canada is actually doing something. Justin Trudeau putting a freeze on all handguns. And I hope that includes any kind of rifle, too. Fuck them. Fuck it all.
Introducing legislation to implement a national freeze on handgun ownership. What this means...
You know, you might say, well, this is going to increase the black market. Well, as far as these psychopathic shooters, it doesn't seem like a lot of them have a lot of money to spare, right? So, and a lot of them seem pretty fucking stupid, and I want to get into that next. They're not going to be smart enough to figure out how to 3D print a gun. They're not going to be smart enough to figure out how to just build a gun outright. At least then it'll take a fucking longer time.
Means is that it will no longer be possible to buy.
Over 300 people died in gun incidents in Swedenland in the past few years. Isn't Sweden like more of a gun, like, encouraged ownership? Let's see. Let's go for guns for gun deaths per capita, because that's the thing to keep in mind. It's not just a simple numbers game. Per capita by country. Obviously, Japan's the least. Let's see. Okay, per 100,000 residents. That's the one we want. Countries. Let's see. How the fuck is Greenland up there? Interesting. Anyways, number one is Greenland. Oh, firearm-related suicide. Oh yeah, I guess, yeah, Greenland, that makes sense now. Okay. Violent gun deaths. Homicide per 100,000 in 2019. Mexico's number 10. 9. U.S. Virgin Islands. 8. Honduras. Bahamas. Brazil. Colombia. Guatemala. Venezuela. El Salvador. And the truth is that gun violence overall has still gone down in the United States, but the potential and the availability allows these mass shootings to happen when they do. So I can't pretend like things have gotten worse as far as like overall violence, but at the same time, like mass shootings are like the special thing the US has compared to other countries. How many people died of gun deaths in 2020? 4 million over in Sweden. Gun laws and gun ownership in Sweden. I think that was what I was looking for. Sweden sits among the world's top countries with the highest guns owned per capita, about 23 per 100 population. Yeah, I never had time to look too far into Sweden, because I know Sweden is like all about letting everyone own guns, so that's kind of like the experiment there, right? As far as like, just arm everybody. Let's see. Every gun owner must obtain a legal license to own a gun. That's fair. As mentioned, most gun ownership legal licenses are held by wildlife hunters with a minimum age of 18. And then Japan has like the strictest gun laws, right? Like you can't even, you can own a rifle, but it's very few and far in between. The police don't even have guns over there. I appreciate you coming on, Clarkson, by the way. 1 in 4 million in Sweden. And then Japan's gun laws. Some Japanese tourists find going to a Hawaiian shooting range easier than buying a gun in Japan. Getting a gun in Japan is really, really hard. There are many steps that you have to go through before you can actually buy a gun. Written tests, only offered on certain dates. Psychiatric evaluation, oh, that'd be fun. That'd be nice. Drug tests, criminal background checks, and gun skills competency test. Yeah, once again, imagine if we treated cars like we treated guns. Or, yeah. So if you just go out and buy a car, you don't have to have a license. You just you don't have to register it. In some cases, if it's at like a show or a used car sales, just go out on the road and drive. You figure it out. $120,000 licensed gun owners. Down. Firearm-related death rate, 10 per capita. Canada 2, Australia 1, United Kingdom less than 1, Japan is 0.07. And a lot of people like to point to Chicago as like some failure of gun control. It's like, well, if you restrict guns in the city and you just walk outside the city and get a gun and walk back in, that's not really an effective strategy. It would have to be statewide at least. And even statewide wouldn't work because people would just drive out of the state to get their gun and come back. Still more of an effort. Still would slow things down. It would have to be something countrywide. You wouldn't criminalize owning the guns that you already own. That's one thing. So we don't have to deal with that shit. Let's listen to him here.
We're introducing legislation to implement a national freeze.
Japan has the most strict gun laws because a bear isn't going to kill someone over in Tokyo, no matter what some random anime portrays. Yeah. The bear comes up and fucking super suplexes Kamehameha waves his ass out into space.
We're introducing legislation to implement a national freeze on handgun ownership. What this means is that it will no longer be possible to buy, sell, transfer, or import handguns anywhere in Canada. In other words, we're capping the market for handguns. As a further part of this new legislation, we're also fighting gun smuggling and trafficking by increasing maximum criminal penalties and providing more tools for law enforcement
I don't know if I agree with that
investigate
part.
firearm crimes. And we'll require the permanent alteration of long gun magazines so they can never hold more than 5 rounds. These are actions that doctors, experts, and chiefs of police have been calling for years, and we're acting on their advice. I also want to thank the advocates, many of whom are here today, for your tireless efforts. I know that for too many of you, grief and loss are at the root of the work that you do. I want to recognize that, and on behalf of all Canadians, I want to thank you for your strength. Merci.
So, agree or disagree, at least he's fucking doing something. At least something is happening. He's not up there like, when are we going to step up against the gun lobby? I wish I could do something, but I'm only the president of the United States. Can't really do nothing. I just wish we could do something. Where am I? What am I? Oh, Joe Biden. I'm Joe Biden. Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers, everybody. Because when someone breaks into your house, it's usually like 2 to 3 people. Yeah, and people who do that sort of thing are not very smart to begin with. at the same time, it's like, what are the chances of that happening, right? Granted, it's increased for me a little bit because being queer, having the pride flag out, yeah, I can see how that can make me more of a target. Like a hate crime. No one's gonna do a hate crime against a straight person, you know? No one's gonna actively target the house like, oh, there's a straight person living in that neighborhood. Yeah, I mean, we have our own gun for self-defense, too, as well. So, you know, there's nothing new there. People like to, like, caricaturize criminals, too. Because if you're breaking into a house, more often than not, it's to get money, right? It's not there to just randomly murder who you find inside. Granted, if someone breaks into the house, I want to defend myself to the best of my ability. If that includes killing them, oh well, you know, that's the chance you take. But at the same time, let's be real too when it comes to like muggings and robberies. Like most of these gun deaths are involving like gang violence, crimes of passion, a spouse or loved one being murdered, or a former loved one, I should say. So apparently, I just want to see where. Let's see. So I want to get into my history of this. All right. Boy was bullied for his stutter and a strong lisp. Reclusive at school and living in an unstable home, he began skipping classes. Family and friends would later say he started displaying violent behaviors such as getting into fistfights and cutting his own face. Bullying takes place all the time, all over the country, and only rarely does the experience play into a mass casualty shooting such as the ones this weekend when authorities say 18-year-old Salvador, I won't even say his fucking name more, stormed an elementary school near his home in Uvalde, Texas, with an assault rifle, killing 19 children and 2 teachers. So obviously, there's nothing to agree with here. But if he's another individual who's been bullied and isolated, that is something I can relate to. Like, my bullying experience came from elementary school in the 2nd grade, and that's when it started. It was this one kid. I was reading a science book, and I was sharing it with the teacher. Like, oh, hey, teacher, this is what I learned about the sun today. Some kid took offense to that and started beating the shit out of me every day. And that went on for at least like a year. I'm going to sum all this up quickly. 4th grade, I got really sick in class, puked in front of the whole class, and then that made me a target for everybody. Everything I did was of suspect. I was being mocked for the way I talked, the shows I enjoyed, any kind of music I listened to, the games I played. Having a Genesis made me a target for ridicule compared to the other kids who had a Nintendo, which was much cooler. And this went on all the way up until 9th grade. 9th grade was like a tipping point for me. And I would write these cringy journals. I can't even remember what I wrote in these journals. And I didn't have any friends that in my school up until the 9th grade. I had one friend who went to a different school, and I had another friend who was in a different grade. So I was able to separate my bullying experience from class from them. So they had no idea what the fuck was going on with me. And I didn't want them to know because I actually had some people who would be my friend just to turn on me later when they would get made fun of for being my friend. That didn't change until the 9th grade. And I actually had a actual friend that was my own age in my own grade. And I write these journals about like how I would just want to fucking kill everyone in this fucking school. I just wanted to either kill myself or kill everybody and take as many as I could. At the same time too, after Columbine, happened. I also had some self-reflection knowing that it wasn't feasible for me and it wouldn't do anything in my favor. Like, what would it do for me? What? I kill a bunch of my peers and then die? What would that accomplish exactly? And in terms of like my legacy or long-term effects and how people are treated in our society or whatever. And it also helped that I didn't have any means to get a gun. I would say that would help. And I had the right kind of friend, because my friend read some of my journals. He's like, "Oh man, you can't let anyone see this because they'll think you're some kind of psycho or something." You know, doing that kind of shit's stupid, right? I had someone that would relate to me, wouldn't use anything I told him against me. I was able to tell him everything about me. Everything about me. My queer experiences as a child, my taste in entertainment. Couldn't tell him I was into furry stuff, though. That was one thing I kept secret for another 10 years or so. No one knew about that. But, yeah, if I really wanted to, he had access to guns. He had a dad who was a reserve police officer who had a basement full of ammo and some guns that were available to draw out if he really wanted to. But despite the elitist thinking that we had, like us thinking that we were better than everybody, that we had it all figured out, we weren't like these stupid fucking jocks who were getting drunk all the time and doing drugs. Like, no, we were going places. Yeah, we knew what was up. We knew people were just liking things to fit in. But for this kid, he never made that friend. If anything, he probably went online and found some of the worst people he could find that encouraged his way of thinking. And this is the end result of that. But yeah, there was times where I was just fantasizing about killing some of my peers giving me shit. In like the 9th and 10th grade. Like, there's one kid giving me shit. And I would just, on my off time, because, you know, I'm by myself, I didn't have anyone to hang out with most of the time. On my off time, I just fantasizing about just paralyzing that kid with a fucking knife. Because he's giving me so much shit in class. I should have just punched the shit out of him. I would have gotten suspended, but the thing is that the school threatened us with 180 days of suspension if we ever got into a fight. Whether we started it or fought back to defend ourselves, it wouldn't matter. If we were involved in a fight, we would have been suspended for the entire year. And the threat of having to repeat another year in grade school was so great that it just made me more docile and more keeping my head down and just trying my best to be invisible to everybody. But I got lucky. I had a pleasant home life, and I had the right kind of friends that had a more grasp on the greater perspective of things, that we knew that high school didn't matter in the grand scheme of things, that once we were graduated, none of this shit would matter anymore. All this shit is just going to go away once you graduate. I have yet to even see anyone out of my high school since I graduated. Even when I went to college, like that same year, if I did see anyone from my high school that was the same age as me, I didn't even fucking recognize them. All that shit just goes away so easily. So fast. It's amazing how quickly you lose touch with people that you knew. Or thought you knew. Experts in, yeah, it's common for perpetrators of violent crime to have been victims themselves. Yeah, so I just had a lot of lucky factors in my experience. Other people, not so much. One case, it was a kid on Prozac who got off Prozac cold turkey, which just creates a whole fuckload of mental illnesses inside their head. Mental anguishes, I should say. The Columbine kids, it was this one kid and finding friends with another who just fed into each other's trauma and their stupidity, thinking that they were so smart, that they got everything figured out. I do plan on doing a more scripted and more elaborate take on my bullying experience on this. Just so I can... Because one of the things that helped me was just realizing that I wasn't the only one. That I wasn't special. I was not special in any way. That whatever I was going through, there are other people going through similar things, if not worse. That helped me. The other thing that helped me was finding something I enjoyed, which was artwork and creating videos. That was the next thing that helped me. Next thing was having a good friend who I could trust, and who also didn't have some bleak outlook. He was also sociable and had friends, had a circle of friends that he introduced me to. In fact, he managed to become class president in junior high and made me the vice president. So, all those factors came into play to get me out of that mindset, and never fell into that mindset ever again, and never will, as far as I'm concerned. According to an analysis of 57 school shootings published in the Journal of Social Psychology last year, nearly half of the shooters reported a history of rejection, which they often describe as bullying. Yeah, so that's all it takes, is just finding the right person to talk to, really. You don't find that on fucking 4chan. If anything, you find encouragement on 4chan. Like we did with that fucking shooter in Buffalo. Where the 4chaners were like, oh man, he should have picked better targets. Give me a fucking break. All fucking losers. This guy's a loser. All the other shooters are a loser. That's what they are. They're losers and they deserve to be mocked for what they did. No one likes me. People made fun of me. I'm gonna take my anger out on all these kids who had nothing to do with it. Yeah, Joe Biden says, where in God's name is our backbone to have the courage to deal with this and stand up to the lobbies? It's like, bitch, you're the fucking president. Where's your backbone? Fuck me. I'm going to imagine what kind of psychopaths we're going to have, too, with people like this out there. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's an elected official, by the way. Is going to represent us in Congress.
You have to accept the fact that the government totally wants to provide surveillance on every part of your life. They want to know when you're eating. They want to know if you're eating a cheeseburger, which is very bad because Bill Gates wants you to eat his fake meat that grows in a Peachtree dish.
Peachtree dish. He wants you to eat the meat that grows in a Peachtree dish from Bill Gates. Yeah.
So you'll probably get a little zap inside your body, and that's saying, no, don't eat a real cheeseburger. You need to eat the fake burger.
Why does it matter if it's real or fake? It's not the meat that's grown in Petri dishes. Almost said it myself. Is just as real as the meat you get from a cow. It's the same kind of fucking meat. It's grown. They use plant matter in combination with the stem cells from the cows in order to grow the meat. It's something we're going to have to resort to if you want to actually have meat in the fucking future, you dumb bitch.
The fake meat from Bill Gates. They probably also want to know when you go to the bathroom and if your
or if you get a fake tan like the one you have. Fucking
bowel movements are on time or consistent. I mean, what else do these people want to know? You have to.
Government is planning to zap people inside their bodies if they try to eat real cheeseburgers. People vote for this. That's how lost we are. Democracy has failed because our populace is ignorant. If you want democracy, you must start by creating an electorate worthy of democracy. You're telling me. The people who voted for her look at her and think, she's one of us. She speaks our language. Yeah, no kidding. Fucking joke. Yeah, let's see. I think that's everything I have for. No, it's trending on Twitter here. Uvalde PD and Uvalde Independent School District Police Force are no longer cooperating with the Texas Department of Public Safety's investigation into Robb Elementary School shooting. Interesting. Yeah, because the police just sat outside while the shooter had his way with all those kids in there. And then arrested parents trying to get into the fucking school. They waited an hour before going in there. They're so afraid to get pew-pewed at. The guy didn't even have fucking body armor either. But that's what the police will do, you know. They're not there. They're not required to help you.
Horrific tragedy that cannot be tolerated in the state of Texas.
John Cruz injured his grandmother. That's right, he killed his grandmother before coming out. He shot a police officer, a school district police officer, before entering the school. Suspect barricaded himself in a classroom and allegedly opened fire with an AR-15 style rifle.
As a nation, we have to ask, when in God's name are we going to stand up to the gun lobby?
Once again, you're the fucking president.
When in God's name we do
Where's your
what we all
executive
know our
orders?
gut needs to be done.
Justin Trudeau just banned all fucking, pretty much just froze all handgun ownership in Canada. You couldn't do that? She has a burger fanfic. Yeah. I feel like only in America would there be a news story of a victim of robbery to suit up in his fursuit before getting the gun just because he thinks it'd be funny. Oh shit, that'd be something to break into. Break into the house and the 6 foot tall wolf suit comes attacking you. The news article would read, headline, cutest self-defense story ever. A man broke into a house today and was attacked by a wolf wielding a baseball bat. The robbery suspect was beaten to death by a baseball bat wielded by the cutest wolf you've ever seen.
Nation, we have to have the courage to take action and understand the nexus between what makes for reasonable and sensible.
I've been hearing this shit for the past year and a half now from all these even fucking Trump. We're gonna do what? We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and then never do it. Never do anything. Just pick on some small minority groups to fuck over that pleases your constituents. Why keep the military budget the same? Why keep the police budgets the same? Why keep all the corporate interests the same and the tax breaks they get the same? Nothing changed there. Same thing with the guns. You know, the gun lobby is, yeah, you know, right? Biden's probably right. The gun lobby's too strong. They support his party too much on side, so. But Justin Trudeau is just like, fuck you. Fuck this. So, you know what? I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see in the next, I don't know, 10 years. Because, yeah, that's how long these things kind of take. Next 10 years for the gun lobby to for the gun violence to go down more. I think Canada had like one mass shooting in the last 20 years that I remember. Oh, here's a cutie. Makes me lighten things up. Oh, see, there was one thing I want to end on with the humanist report here, actually. Because Ted Cruz, once again, was going on about the doors in the school. This is great. There's a montage here. Nope, that wasn't it. Anti-abortion. This one. Yeah, here we go.
They do every single time. A Media Matters journalist decided to put together a compilation of all of the times Republicans on Fox News have proposed a solution, and she had 50 in particular. And notice how not a single one of these solutions has anything to do with guns or gun reform.
I advocate always for an armed security guard,
armed school safety officer,
armed
deputy,
arming teachers,
potentially arm and prepare and train teachers and other administrators,
armed school staffers,
bring in policemen, training the students themselves.
Retired military, retired law enforcement. We can offer them tax breaks.
If you give law enforcement the opportunity to impose martial law, we can guarantee safety and security.
Securing that perimeter, kind of providing kind of a ring of steel. You have the fences, you have the maid administration.
Better fences. Well, let's put the fucking barbed wire around the entire school. Fuck it. Barbed wire fences. No one gets in, no one gets out.
Building, and then you have wide gaps on either side. The fencing's not very high.
Where the door's locked. Bulletproof glass. All of these shootings have happened.
Bulletproof glass.
At the same time that we see religion and Christian values and...
Judeo-Christian values, yes. Because as we became less religious, violence is just shot right up, right? That's why we're living in fucking the Wild West right now, pretty much. If you want to see where Christian values do to a nation, just look at the early 1900s, where suicide rates were the highest, violent crime was the highest.
And Judeo-Christian values declining.
Anybody who decides that they want to do something like...
Oh, and child marriages were going on just out of fucking, I would say out of control, but it was pretty much accepted around all these southern states. Child marriage is all over the place. Child marriage is still going on, by the way.
This should immediately know that attacking a school is a death sentence for them.
Kids are afraid of being the school snitch.
We have to stop.
School snitches. Yeah, because when I was in school and if I saw a guy walking around with an assault rifle, I would just turn my head and not say anything because I wouldn't want to be a snitch. That makes sense.
Letting these schools be gun-free zones.
People need to put their phones down and get to know the person next to them.
We have spent billions of dollars on COVID-related measures for our schools. Let's take some of that money and divert it over to
take relief money and
hardening these soft targets.
A lot of these
and return it into hardening these targets. Okay.
Private schools, they take security way more serious.
Parents, take your children to church.
You know, you can't divert the military fund, right? You have to divert relief fund that's meant for everybody.
Church.
This anti-police narrative is forcing people not to call police.
A series of
Yeah, because if someone breaks in my house, I'm not going to call the police at all. You know, I'm just going to shoot the guy and bury the guy in the backyard and just hope for the best.
Locking doors at the school entrance that are triggered by a tripwire, and it traps the shooter like a...
Wow, we're going to home alone the schools. We're going to put tripwires in the fucking school. Oh shit, how did 5-year-old Johnny die? He accidentally tripped the wire and the claymore went off in his face. My bad.
God is the answer to that. There's a moral rot going on that we all need to dig in and try to address.
I vote for decreasing social media exposure.
How do you decrease social media exposure? How do you vote that, exactly?
We need to start focusing on mental health.
Tell us why you think it's important.
Mental health, you say that, but they're not going to do anything about it
to
either.
pray in a moment like this.
It calls for
Thoughts
faith
and prayers.
and prayer.
Faith,
Why
yeah.
is it that schools aren't protected in the same way that airports?
There are some people who don't want police officers in schools with guns because other people are triggered.
Who? What are you talking about? I don't want cops in schools because if they're there, they usually end up arresting kids if they get into like a fight. Like if there's physical fights in my school, what, they get sent to the principal's office and they get sent home for a week. If there's a fight in a Detroit school where there's actual armed police officers there, they get sent to jail and now they have a rep sheet before they're even 18. It's fucked. So you don't want that. If anything, you get if anything, you get some type of guard that's not there to enforce school policy or to enforce any kind of victimless crime. They're just there for that kind of event, and that's it.
Assault rifle and enhanced body armor.
A notification system to let everybody in the school know what's happening.
They already have that.
Point of entry.
I don't like talking about this stuff as it happens because I don't think it contributes anything positive.
Parents should be held accountable for raising their children properly.
Ballistic blankets.
We just don't have the resources to get law enforcement there quickly.
How about an executive order for these?
I mean, I would be fine with ballistic blankets then, as long as it's there. Sure, why not? At least there's something there. That would get me like a I don't know, maybe like a snap of the fingers. Not exactly a clap or even a golf clap, just like a little snapping of the fingers, you know? Like, okay, they did a little thing.
Mental health facilities.
We have to start rebuilding this country and returning to God.
I arm myself
God
everywhere I legally can.
It's up to you to protect yourself.
And it's just up to you. I love this montage here too. This is the one I was looking for earlier.
And then himself,
Roseburg.
entire life. This is what presidents have been
This is what I've
responding
been
to
living through my entire life, by the way. I know some people that come across as a lot younger.
throughout my entire life, and no action has been taken.
Like, we didn't have this early on in the 90s. We didn't have this early in the 80s or 70s. We had like one school shooting that was a major event from some girl. I don't even know what it was even about. There was one event before Columbine that involved a student who was on Prozac. He was taken off cold turkey. His mental anguish just flared up. Killed his parents, killed a bunch of students. He's still in prison. He's alive. He's not proud of what he did. He wasn't stupid about it. He was just suffering mentally, and it fucking turned into that because his parents were dumb enough to allow him to have guns. He didn't just illegally get his guns either. He got his guns in that case. Columbine, same thing.
Taken. For example, take a look at what every single president has said in response to mass shootings.
Hillary and I are profoundly shocked and saddened by the tragedy today in Littleton,
in Southern California, by the news of the shootings at Virginia Tech.
Roseburg, Oregon. It's an elementary school in Newton,
Texas, Parkland, Florida, Michigan. The prayers of the American people are with you.
We are praying for them.
Laura and I and many
Fuck your
across our
prayers.
nation,
Our entire nation,
Take your prayers and show them up your ass.
one heavy heart, is
are praying for the victims and their families.
And it's not just Littleton. We know that now. We've had lots and lots and lots of places.
It's almost like there's
We
a
have been
template.
through this too many times.
Too many years, too many decades now.
As I said just a few months ago, and I said a few months before that, and I said each time we see one of these mass shootings, our thoughts and prayers are not enough.
Schools should be places of safety and sanctuary and learning.
Perhaps now America would wake up to the dimensions of this challenge if it could happen in a place like Littleton, and we could prevent anything like this from happening again.
Every single president who's alive today has made the same speech.
Yep. Every single fucking time. I said the same thing after the New Zealand shooter too. Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. All right, Blazy, I gotta go too, actually. So we're about wrapping things up here. What a crazy world.
Right thing pales in comparison to the price that families have to pay. Now, I have one more video that I want to show you, and just a forewarning, this video is absolutely heartbreaking, but I think it's important. I think that we shouldn't just detach ourselves from this situation and think, oh, it can never happen to me. Of course it could happen to you.
Yeah. Guns may be dangerous, but it's got nothing to do with the Bible. Yeah, well, I've been hearing that all my fucking life. There used to be a speaker called Bill O'Reilly. Before Tucker Carlson, there was Bill O'Reilly, and they just say the same fucking shit all the time. Illegal immigrants coming in the country, taking jobs, destroying the nation, leftists destroying the nation. Same shit. When I was in high school, 14 years ago, 15 years ago. Oh shit, no, it's more than that now. Fuck. 2 years would be 20 years, so 18 years ago. Yeah. I bought into it for a little bit, but you know, I was 17, 18, so of course I'm gonna be dumb enough to buy into like the moral decline of the nation or whatever. But then, you know, you start reading a lot of things. You start reading on the news, you start learning about different types of people in the world. You wake up one day and find out that the Bible is a piece of shit. That's one thing. If you want to make an atheist, just have them read the Bible. Once most people read the Bible, they realize just how shitty it is. And how bullshit any kind of theistic belief is altogether. As far as I'm concerned, if you believe in God, you don't have the mental capability to run any position of authority. You just be voted out, taken out, and removed. Until you come back to reality. Get your head out of the clouds, because there's no God up there. Come back to reality, and then we'll let you run for president, okay?
But listen to this father explain how he...
Let's see...
I'm not going to talk about basketball. Nothing's happened with our team in the last 6 hours.
Steve Kerr.
We're going to start the same way tonight. Any basketball questions don't matter. Since we left shoot-around, 14 children were killed 400 miles from here, and a teacher. And in the last 10 days, we've had elderly black people killed in a supermarket in Buffalo. We've had Asian churchgoers killed in...
Yeah, it was a shooting in a church from an Asian man.
Southern California, and now we have children murdered at school. When are we gonna do something? I'm tired. I'm so tired.
The frustrating thing is, like, the people are asking this a lot of times. They're calling our leaders out, are people that have no power to do something. Like, I have no fucking ability to initiate some executive order across the state or across the country. I can do a petition on what, change.org? Oh yeah, that will really do something.
Tired of getting up here and offering condolences to the devastated families that are out there. I'm so tired of the, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm tired of the moments of silence. Enough. There's 50 senators right now who refuse to vote on H.R. 8, which is a background check rule that the House passed a couple of years ago. It's been sitting there for 2 years. And there's a reason they won't vote on it, to hold on to power. So I ask you, Mitch McConnell, I ask all of you senators who refuse to do anything about the violence and school shootings and supermarket shootings, I ask you, are you going to put your own desire for power ahead of the lives of our children and our elderly and our churchgoers? Because that's what it looks like. It's what we do every week. So I'm fed up. I've had enough. We're going to play the game tonight, but I want every person here, every person listening to this, to think about your own child or grandchild or mother or father or sister, brother. How would you feel if this happened to you today? We can't get numb to.
I like whenever someone tries to talk about any kind of like legislation to change things, they just say, "Oh, let's not make this political," as if this whole situation isn't inherently political. I should script out a fucking video about this, because I'm tired of people not understanding what politics is. Politics, not everything is political, but politics isn't everything. A cheeseburger by itself is not political, but deciding whether or not to eat that cheeseburger is itself politics. I think there's a good quotation on that. Politics is what the government does and what opinions people have about what the government should do. Politics dictates what you can do and say and what options you have in living your life. Your ability to afford health insurance and to access care is political, in the sense that it was shaped by the actions or inactions of government. This applies to the things you decide to do with your friends. That is politics. Let's get together and go out to the fucking bar.
Our country is...
It's the politics of discussing what you want to do with your free time.
We can't sit here and just read about it and go, well, let's have a moment of silence. Yeah, go Dubs, you know? Come on, Mavs, let's go. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go play a basketball game. And 50 senators in Washington are going to hold us hostage. Do you realize that 90% of Americans, regardless of political party, want background check, universal background check? 90% of us, we are being held hostage by 50 senators in Washington who refuse to even put it to a vote, despite what we, the American people, want. They won't vote on it because they want to hold on to their own power. It's pathetic. I've had enough.
And this is supposed to be about the NBA. Fucking props to him, man. This is the kind of thing that people will come out and say, like, oh, this is not supposed to be about politics, it's about playing basketball.
Sickened.
Let's see what Mitch McConnell is going to do about it, huh?
The country is sickened and outraged by the senseless evil that struck Robb Elementary School in Uvalde.
He's fucking melting. He's fucking melting even more. Struck Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas.
Uvalde, Texas. Only yesterday.
These
innocent kids were simply going to school. They'd put on their backpacks, said goodbye to their parents, and headed off for another day of learning and friendship. There were only 2 days left before summer break.
Can you just fucking die already? God damn.
And because of this maniac, at least 19 of these kids never made it home.
I bet these people are thrilled too that this guy came out and shot a bunch of students only like a week after the Buffalo shooter, because the Buffalo shooter was a white nationalist, a racist, a fascist. He wanted to stop the great replacement of white people, and then this guy comes in and just indiscriminately kills a bunch of kids for his bullying. I'm sure that makes these people thrilled that they don't have to talk about the kinds of ideas their party promotes that leads to those kinds of shootings. That we have this guy that's just like yet again another mental head case created by the situation that surrounded him.
Victims was a 10-year-old girl whose father described her as full of life, a jokester, always smiling. A 10-year-old boy who loves sports and art.
Oh my fucking God.
Lives that
So we're not doing anything. I got it. Got it, Mitch. Nothing's gonna happen. All right. Words without heart or feeling from the Grim Reaper is literally sickening. Yeah, it's just like when Donald Trump was reading out the victims with that fucking bell toll. Fuck these leaders. Fuck nation states. Once again. And the way the Supreme Court's going right now, with just with these rulings, I'll get into next week. You're just gonna have to focus on making your state a better place to live. Good luck with that. Yep, all these people are gonna give us our thoughts and prayers. This guy, this is the last thing I want to see.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
The chair recognizes the gentleman at microphone 1A.
Thank you. My name is Jason Selvig, and I'm from West Palm Beach, Florida. And I would like to say that I am sick and tired of the left-wing media, and frankly, people in this room today spreading misinformation about Wayne LaPierre. Whenever there's a mass shooting, they all say that Wayne LaPierre isn't doing enough to stop these mass shootings, and even implying that Wayne LaPierre has played a part in making it easier for these shooters to get guns, to get weapons.
Yeah, because he has.
You heard it after Las Vegas. You heard it after Pulse nightclub in Orlando. You heard it after Columbine. You heard it after Parkland. You heard it after Virginia Tech. You heard it after Sandy Hook. You heard it after El Paso. You heard it after Buffalo. You kept hearing that Wayne LaPierre isn't doing enough. And frankly, that's not true. The NRA, under Wayne LaPierre's leadership, has provided thoughts and prayers.
Not just
to the
thoughts,
victims
but prayers
and
too.
their families. And maybe these mass shootings would stop happening if we all thought a little bit more.
And prayed a little harder.
Prayed a little bit more. So I'm asking everyone in this room to think.
And pray.
To pray. Give your thoughts and your prayers and your thoughts and your prayers and your prayers and your thoughts. And if we give enough of these thoughts and these prayers, these mass shootings will stop. So I want to thank you, Wayne LaPierre, for all your thoughts and all your prayers. Thank you.
Brilliant. I like how all these people don't even fucking know if they were being played or not. Toilet Paper USA is posting this clip in order to expose the agenda of extreme right. TPUSA is a project of People for the American Way, a progressive advocacy organization to fight right-wing extremism and build a democratic society that implements the ideals of freedom, equality, opportunity, and justice for all. Yep, well, that's all I got for this week. So, till next week, I am Crafty Andy, taking over for Michael Ringtail till we get his body together. And check out Crafty Arts for other shows and other videos. Till then, I am Outie. I am Outie 5000. Ending the stream. Ending the stream. Ending the stream.